A'ja Wilson just landed Time Magazine's 2025 Athlete of the Year, historic achievement, 4th MVP championship run. She should be celebrating. Instead, she used her biggest platform to take shots at Caitlin Clark. Wilson told Time Magazine that WNBA history was erased for a minute. Not subtle, not accidental. A direct message aimed at the rookie who transformed women's basketball overnight. But here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. Caitlin Clark finally broke her silence. And her response? It shocked everyone who expected drama. Because what Clark did reveals everything about why one player represents the future of this league, while the other clings desperately to the past. This is about more than basketball awards. This is about two completely different approaches to leadership, legacy, and what it means to grow the game. Many of you have been saying for weeks that something felt off about how established WNBA players treated Clark during her record-breaking rookie season. You were onto something. And Wilson's Time Magazine interview just confirmed everything. If you believe the story behind the story matters, smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track as we dig into what really happened here. Let's break down exactly what A'ja Wilson said and why her timing reveals everything. Wilson sat down with Time Magazine for what should have been a pure celebration. She earned that recognition. Historic season, dominant performances, 4th MVP award, leading the Las Vegas Aces to another championship. These are legitimate accomplishments that deserve acknowledgement. But Wilson couldn't help herself. She told the interviewer that WNBA history was erased for a minute. Those words were not thrown around casually. Wilson knew exactly what she was saying and who she was targeting. The timing of that comment lines up perfectly with Caitlin Clark's explosion onto the scene during her 2024 rookie season. Think about what happened last year. Clark shattered every attendance record the WNBA had. She brought television ratings the league had never seen before. She generated more mainstream media coverage for women's basketball than the previous decade combined. Arenas that used to have empty seats suddenly sold out weeks in advance. Networks fought for broadcast rights. Sponsors lined up with massive deals. When Wilson says history was erased for a minute, she's not protecting some abstract concept of league legacy. She's talking about Clark's impact overshadowing everything Wilson and her generation built. And here's the most telling part. Wilson stayed completely silent throughout Clark's entire historic 2024 season. Clark won Rookie of the Year unanimously. She broke 62 different WNBA records. She led the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance since she became the global face of women's basketball. She won Time Magazine's 2024 Athlete of the Year. Wilson had dozens of opportunities to congratulate Clark publicly or acknowledge her incredible achievements. She chose silence every single time. Reading between the lines, that silence spoke volumes. Wilson said nothing when Clark received threats. She stayed quiet when Clark faced hostile crowds in road arenas. She offered zero public support when Clark dealt with flagrant fouls and obvious physical targeting from other players. Wilson, who positions herself as a leader in the WNBA, never once used her platform to welcome the rookie who was bringing millions of new fans to their sport. Now Wilson claims she was protecting the league's legacy and preserving its history, but her timing reveals everything. She waited until she had the biggest platform of her career to make these comments. Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year spotlight gave her the perfect opportunity to diminish Clark's impact while appearing to defend WNBA tradition. It was calculated, it was deliberate, and it backfired spectacularly. Wilson told Time Magazine that it wasn't a hit at her because she was going to do her thing regardless. She said she would win the MVP, win the gold medal base, and nobody could shake her resume. Notice how she focused entirely on her own accomplishments, even when discussing Clark's impact on the league. That statement reveals Wilson's true mindset. She sees Clark's success as a threat to her own legacy, rather than a positive development for women's basketball. The Time Magazine article included language describing Clark's emergence as creating a toxic, racially divisive narrative. It suggested Clark was almost singularly responsible for salvaging a league whose foundation had been built by a mostly black player base. This framing appeared in Wilson's feature story, suggesting the narrative Wilson wanted to promote about Clark's impact. Many of you noticed this during the season. Wilson's public persona has always been about unity and supporting other women in basketball. She talks about lifting each other up and growing the game together. But these passive-aggressive comments about Clark reveal a different side. She is willing to use subtle digs, and coded language to undermine the player who brought more attention to the WNBA than anyone in recent memory. This contradiction between her public image and her actual behavior suggests calculated intent behind her words. Wilson had every chance to be gracious and welcoming to the rookie who was elevating their entire sport. Instead, she chose jealousy disguised as protecting league history. But the hypocrisy goes even deeper. Let's connect the dots between what Wilson said about Clark's individual recognition in 2020. In 2024, when Caitlin Clark dominated headlines, A'ja Wilson and several other WNBA veterans complained loudly about individual recognition. They said it was unfair and divisive for one player to get so much attention. Wilson suggested Clark's spotlight was problematic. She brought race into the conversation as a way to diminish Clark's achievements. Sheila Johnson, owner of the Washington Mystics, went on live television saying the entire WNBA needed to be on Time magazine's cover, not just Caitlin Clark. Wilson argued that Clark's recognition overlooked the contributions of other players, particularly black players who built the WNBA's foundation. She cast herself as someone protecting the league's history and making sure proper credit went to everyone who deserved it. The narrative became about collective achievement versus individual stardom. Wilson portrayed Clark's massive media attention as harmful to the sport and unfair to other deserving players. Fast forward to now, A'ja Wilson appears solo on Time magazine's cover as their 2025 athlete. Where are all those voices demanding collective recognition? Where are the complaints about one player getting too much individual attention? The silence is deafening. Wilson stands alone on that magazine cover, representing herself and her achievements, with zero pushback from the same people who criticized Clark's individual recognition just months earlier. Let us know in the comments what you think about this double standard. Does A'ja deserve the recognition she's getting, or does her hypocrisy undermine her achievements? The league that supposedly valued a team-first mentality and shared credit now embraces Wilson as the singular face of WNBA success. Nobody demanded that her teammates be included in the recognition. Nobody called for the Las Vegas Aces to share the spotlight. Nobody complained about Wilson overshadowing other deserving players. The same arguments used against Caitlin Clark evaporate when Wilson benefits from individual accolades. This reveals what many of you suspected all along. The criticism of Clark was never really about protecting collective recognition or preserving league history. It was about jealousy and fear of being overshadowed. Wilson and her peers were perfectly fine with individual recognition and single-player spotlights. They just wanted to be the ones receiving it. When Clark's impact threatened their positions as the faces of women's basketball, they manufactured complaints about fairness and collective achievement. The moment Wilson gets her own solo magazine cover, all those principles disappear. Connecting the dots reveals a pattern. Wilson's resistance to Clark was never about ideology or protecting WNBA values. It was about protecting her own position at the top of the hierarchy. The hypocrisy exposes what this was really about from the beginning. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Let's examine why Wilson feels so threatened by Caitlin Clark's emergence. The numbers tell a devastating story for Wilson's argument. Clark's rookie season generated revenue increases the WNBA had never experienced. Merchandise sales skyrocketed by 500%. Clark jerseys outsold Wilson's gear by massive margins. Attendance figures jumped dramatically when Clark played compared to Wilson's games. Television ratings revealed the gap even more clearly. Games featuring Caitlin Clark drew audiences that dwarfed typical WNBA viewership. Networks scrambled to broadcast fever games because they knew Clark guaranteed eyeballs. The market clearly showed which direction the league's future lies. Wilson accomplished impressive things during her career. Multiple MVP awards, championships. She established herself as one of the best players in WNBA history. But Clark achieved in one season what took Wilson years to build. Clark's immediate impact on every measurable aspect of the sport threatened Wilson's position as the face of women's basketball. The statistics don't lie. Clark's cultural reach extends far beyond basketball awards. She appeared on Forbes 30 under global entertainment brands, competed for her endorsements. Her social media presence generates engagement that Wilson's accounts cannot match. Clark represents the type of athlete who transcends sports boundaries, while Wilson remains confined to basketball-specific recognition. Wilson's jealousy becomes obvious when you examine the timeline. She stayed silent during Clark's historic rookie achievements. She spoke up only when Clark received major recognition. Wilson waited until she had a platform to diminish Clark's accomplishments while promoting her own legacy. Her Time magazine interview gave her the perfect opportunity to tear down the league's brightest star while appearing to defend WNBA history. Wilson's fear drove her to use her biggest career moment as a weapon against Clark rather than a celebration of her own success. Then Caitlin Clark broke her silence. After days of fans wondering how she would respond to Wilson's veiled attacks, Clark finally addressed the situation. The basketball world held its breath. Clark had every right to fire back. She could have called out the obvious hypocrisy. She could have pointed out Wilson's silence during her rookie achievements. She could have exposed the double standard that allowed Wilson to celebrate individual recognition while criticizing Clark for the same thing. Clark chose a path entirely. She took to Instagram and posted a simple but powerful message congratulating Wilson on her 2025 Athlete of the Year recognition from Time magazine. No drama, no passive-aggressive undertones, no subtle digs, hidden in seemingly positive work. Clark's post focused entirely on celebrating Wilson's achievement. Her Instagram story showed genuine enthusiasm for Wilson's accomplishment. Clark highlighted Wilson's incredible season and well-deserved recognition. She praised Wilson's basketball achievements without any hint of bitterness or resentment. The post radiated pure class and sportsmanship, standing in stark contrast to Wilson's approach to Clark's success throughout. Clark's response revealed everything about her character that Wilson's comments revealed about hers. While Wilson used her biggest platform to throw shade and diminish Clark's impact, Clark used her platform to lift up a player who had spent months undermining her achievement. Wilson turned celebration into controversy. Clark turned controversy into celebration. The timing makes Clark's response even more impressive. She posted her congratulations right after Wilson's Time magazine interview gained widespread attention. Clark could have stayed silent and let the controversy play out. She could have let Wilson's words speak for themselves. Instead, Clark chose the high road and publicly supported the player who had been anything but supportive toward her. The character difference between these two players becomes impossible to ignore. A'ja Wilson spent her Time magazine moment looking backward and protecting her legacy. Caitlin Clark consistently looks forward and focuses on growing the game. Wilson sees Clark's success as a threat to her own achievements. Clark sees everyone's success as beneficial to women's basketball. Many of you have been saying this for weeks. Clark's Instagram post demonstrates exactly why fans and sponsors gravitate toward her over other WNBA stars. She represents the type of leadership the league needs moving forward. Clark builds others up instead of tearing them down. She creates positive narratives instead of manufacturing drama. She uses her massive platform to celebrate women's basketball rather than divide it. Clark's response proves she understands something Wilson doesn't grasp yet. The WNBA grows stronger when all players succeed. Clark celebrates other players' achievements because she knows their success benefits everyone in the league. Wilson views success as a zero-sum game where Clark's accomplishments somehow diminish her own legacy. The basketball world took notice of how both players handled this situation. Clark emerged looking like the mature leader who rises above petty jealousy. Wilson appeared defensive and insecure about her place in women's basketball. Clark's classy response proved she possesses the character traits that define true champions, both on and off the court. Wilson's Time magazine moment backfired completely. She wanted to diminish Clark's impact, but ended up highlighting her own insecurities instead. Clark's gracious response exposed the massive difference between these two players. Wilson represents the old guard clinging to relevance through manufactured controversy. Clark embodies the future with her class, leadership, and team-first mentality. The WNBA's next chapter belongs to players who build up the sport rather than tear down their peers. Clark proves every day why she's the leader women's basketball needs. Her approach attracts new fans, generates excitement, and elevates everyone around her. We're diving deep into the stories that matter, the dynamics that shape this league, and the moments that define its future. Drop a comment telling us which WNBA storyline you want us to cover next, because this is just the beginning. The Caitlin Clark era is reshaping women's basketball, and we're here to document every moment of it.